The next item is under city manager. The first one is kidSTREAM term sheet. Can we have the staff report, please?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm going to share with you a PowerPoint. And if you can let me know if you see that. Do you see the PowerPoint?
Not yet.
Okay, let me try this again.
Now we see it.
All right. Okay, so I'll begin with an overview of this item. Then I'd like to turn it over to kidSTREAM staff for an overview of the project, the community benefit, and the project schedule. And this agenda item is for your consideration to authorize the city manager to execute a second amendment to the term sheet between the city and kidSTREAM. And as you know, discussions between the city and kidSTREAM for the sale of the old library building began back in early 2017. Subsequently, then on June 15, 2018, the city and kidSTREAM entered into a term sheet for the sale of the former library at an appraised rate of $900,000. And the term sheet, including subsequent amendments, described the framework of the potential terms of the proposed transaction. And so in addition to the sale, the construction of a children's museum is what would be happening at that library, and that the close of escrow date for this transaction was scheduled for January 27th, 2020 with an operating date of April 1st, 2021. In the term sheet also, there's a provision for a rental of limited indoor use of the building at market rate. And so the kidSTREAM continues to rent the facility. As you recall, there were two significant and major incidents that occurred in 2018, which impacted kidSTREAM's capital campaign. And this was the Borderline shooting and the Thomas fire. And so this also then changed the dates, the proposed dates at the time. So on December 12th, 2019, the City Council authorized the first amendment to the term sheet, which amended the close of escrow to October 1st, 2021, with an opening date targeted at November 28th, 2022, and also shifted some dates then in as far as the project process. So the proposed schedule that's attached as part of this report also then changes some major milestones. It shifts the major milestones. The second amendment to the term sheet has two notable elements that I wanted to draw to your attention tonight. One of them being that the close of escrow is now anticipated to be April 14th, 2022, and with an operating date of January 6th, 2023. The second element is that the acquisition of the property from the city, it would be as a donation rather than a sale. And this would allow the capital campaign to focus on the development project and the construction of the property and the installation of the exhibits. So the city donation of the property will trigger prevailing wage on the construction. And this is a factor that kidSTREAM has been keeping an eye on. That's really been definitely been not wanting to trigger because of the increased cost in construction. But they have considered the impact, and they have advised staff that a donation provides a far greater benefit, financial benefit, over the increased cost caused by the prevailing wage. kidSTREAM would be able to redesignate funds to the construction, and these funds, the funds that would have otherwise been used for the purchase of the property. And kidSTREAM has also advised that the transfer of title will provide an advantage for continued fundraising, and because some potential donors are more willing to commit under the real property interest. There are some conditions that are outlined in the term sheet and the grant deed if the city was to enter into the Second Amendment to the term sheet. And if the parties are to enter into an agreement for the transfer and development of the property, the grant deed would also have certain conditions, such as that the construction and the use would only be for a children's museum. So this would be recorded under the grant deed. Another provision is that the property transfer is subject to the compliance of an environmental review, subject to the approval of the entitlements and the issuance of required permits. Another condition would be that the city may reacquire the property, and that the city could reacquire this property at no cost except for kidSTREAM's expense on the property to bring it up to code. And another condition is outlined that there would be continued progress on the development. So that continued progress is expected. And that the city must approve the transfer of the property should the property be transferred to another party. So again, the city must approve that, and it would only approve it for use of a children's museum. So it would stay, the property would have to be maintained as to what its purpose would be. A little bit about the development project and the pre-application process. Back in November, city staff met with kidSTREAM staff and the project manager, and they reviewed the renderings and the layout of the concept. Staff was able to provide some guidance and suggested revisions before the development application is submitted. So those discussions continue, and so it's really good bouncing ideas back and forth on that concept. One of the conditions of the initial term sheet, and it continues to be in subsequent the subsequent amendment, is that a parking agreement with the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Parks District would need to be resolved, and again that the property transfer is subject to the environmental review. So one of the things that staff will be working on is making sure that these items are worked on a parallel track. So it'd be the CEQA review, the preparation of the agreement for transfer and development of the property, and the application for a conditional use permit. Those would be brought to the City Council for your consideration all at the same time. And we expect that this would be done on or around January 12th based on the schedule that's attached as an exhibit to the proposed term sheet. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to kidSTREAM staff. And so online we have Miss Christy Ackel. She is the president and founder of kidSTREAM. Mr. Michael Shanklin is the executive director, and Mr. Sean Leonard is the project manager. So I'd like to turn it over to them. They have a presentation for you regarding the concept, the community interest, and then also we'll go over the project schedule with you.
Thank you, Carmen, and thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council members. We are thrilled to be here tonight. I think it was a number of years ago where I stood in front of you at an in-person meeting and shared my passion for this project and my belief that this project is for community good and will really benefit so many people in our community. So it's our privilege to present to you tonight. Next slide, please. So we wanted to start with our mission. Our mission is to provide an engaging environment where kids explore, play, and discover. And that's at the bedrock of everything that we do. Next slide, please. So tonight I wanted to share a little bit with you about our history, some kidSTREAM facts that I think are relevant this evening, a snapshot of our strategic plan, an overview of the public benefit with some good data points for our data people, and then an overview of our project timeline. Next slide, please. So with this, I'd love to have Christy Ackel, who is our founder and board chair, to really tell you how this project came to fruition. Christy?
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. My background, I just wanted to give a little bit of a history just here to kind of pepper this. My background is in science education. Specifically, I was a high school biology teacher in Ventura, and I considered it my own personal mission to reignite a spark in students who often, by the time that they got to my classroom, already thought that they weren't good at STEM subjects. And so when I left the classroom, after having the first of my 3 daughters, I was determined to keep my daughter's interest in STEM learning alive. And for many children, this spark is first lit and remains burning through hands-on opportunities that are often unique to children's museums and science centers. Unfortunately, most of these hands-on opportunities are outside of our geographic region and require over an hour or more in travel to neighboring counties. On one fateful visit 7 years ago to KidSpace Children's Museum in Pasadena, I remember looking at a plaque outside of this 40-year-old institution before leaving, and I saw that it honored the women of the Junior League of Pasadena who laid the foundation for what ultimately grew into an economic driver for the city of Pasadena and beyond, serving hundreds of thousands of children every year. And maybe it was that plaque, or maybe it was the bumper to bumper traffic that I was stuck in on the way home with 3 napping children in the back seat. But I began making calls, frustrated by the fact that there was no resource like this in Ventura County. So my goal was to find out who in our county of over 800,000 people might be working on such a project. And ultimately, after looking into a few organizations and knowing how critical the foundation for an organization's business should be, a small grassroots group of fellow passionate volunteers and I formed kidSTREAM in the summer of 2016. I have to add my favorite quote from anthropologist Margaret Mead here, in which she says, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." As we near our 5th birthday, I have to reflect with great pride on our small but mighty and growing group of thoughtful, committed volunteers for not only laying a solid foundation, but being mission focused from the outset. Prior to COVID closures, kidSTREAM was reaching over 10,000 children annually with hands-on stream-based learning all over Ventura County. I also want to point out the poetry of bringing in kidSTREAM's inaugural executive director, an experienced veteran in the children's museum industry, Michael Shanklin, who just spoke, whom we hired 1 year ago, just over 1 year ago, before the world shut down, as he was the CEO of KidSpace, the children's museum in Pasadena, whose visit lit the spark for kidSTREAM. I have every confidence that kidSTREAM will become an economic driver for our city and our region that is on par and will hopefully exceed the great children's museums throughout our country.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you very much. This is a great organization. I'm privileged to be a part of it, and such an amazing community. Thank you all. Next slide, please. So this is just an image of some of the recent updated renderings that we have. And I want to give a special thanks to the entire city team that's been guiding us through this process, and our project manager, Sean Leonard. Next slide, please. So here's some kidSTREAM facts. And our founding date, as Christy indicated, was June of 2016. Our average attendance pre-COVID was about 10,000 guests a year, many of who were underserved communities outside of our community. Target audience is really children ages birth and up, and volunteer opportunities for really all ages. Our projected attendance is approximately 150,000 guests per year when we're fully open and operating. That is both our outdoor space and our indoor space. Approximately 125 of those guests will be children and their families. Approximately 24,500 school children in groups, and then roughly 500 teachers from the entire county. And our projected budget is $2.5 million. Next slide, please. So here's some of the overview of our strategic plan without going in depth. Our number one strategy and number one priority is to really open the museum with a high quality experience that the community can enjoy. Our financial sustainability has always been paramount to the organization, so we're being good stewards of the resources that are entrusted to us. Community partnerships are incredibly important to us, and have reached out to several in the community that we're forming relationships with and forging ahead on key strategies to meet the needs of the community. We want to create programs and exhibits that are fun, engaging, accessible, and that are really based on research, best practices, and great data points, so that we're submitting the best for our community. Next, our leadership is our final element. And this is something that I'm really proud of that I've never had as part of a strategic plan at another institution, in that we want to create leaders within the organization and be a nonprofit that is really practicing best practices so that we can shine a light on our community and all the great things that we do. So just in terms, I think it's important to point out that our response to COVID, you know, there are some positives that have come from this horrible pandemic for kidSTREAM. Certainly, creating virtual programming for the community that has been accessible to the community. We also created STREAM learning kits over the summer that were really in targeted for communities. We also provided those in English and Spanish, and then made a concerted effort to get those Spanish-speaking kits out to our community who could avail themselves of that. And then finally, we made a key decision, instead of opening the indoor exhibits, to really focus on the outside experience first, knowing that when families do come back and are comfortable getting back into a museum setting, that they'll do so outside where we know the data indicates that they feel safer. Next slide, please. We wanted to break it down into what's in it for the community. And first and foremost, we know that our children are going to be the primary beneficiaries here. I've got a couple of reports that I cited in particular about the fact that play is really the leading factor in a child's development. From that play, they develop a range of skills that will really come in handy for them down the road as they're applying other learning in their environment. The second point is that there's data from our industry that says that for children who visited a museum in kindergarten, they had higher achievement scores in reading, mathematics, and science in third grade. Versus a separate group who did not visit a museum. So what we're seeing here is that there's a clear benefit, and we're actually coming alongside the school districts to help equip children with the tools that they need to succeed. Next slide, please. So if we could go back one slide to parents. One more. There we go. Thank you. So we asked, there was some data and research that was conducted asking parents, what do you see the benefit of a children's museum to be? And basically what they said is, it makes me feel like I'm being a good parent because I'm spending quality time with my child and I'm giving them an engaging and educational experience. And we know that when parents are engaged in a child's education, then everybody wins in that scenario. The second point is that by promoting a new museum in our community, there is data from the London School of Economics that says that parents or adults who visit those museums feel as if they've just got a $5,000 plus bonus or a raise. And so this clearly shows that there's value in a museum and the learning that takes place there. Next slide. So access is part of our triple bottom line. And we know that in a children's museum, that it is an element that levels the playing field. And so we conducted a study from Dr. Dumui of Cal Lutheran Economics Department that really said that children's museums break down those economic and social differentiation, and that they really create an environment where children can communicate, engage with others, and really be inspired to achieve great things. And with our focus on STEM, we know that there's a tremendous opportunity there as well. And then the second bullet point is that, California museums collectively served 2.4 million children in kindergarten through high school, 12th grade. And that's equivalent to almost 40% of California's public and private schools. So the point being is that we play an incredible role in that school group visitation, where we come alongside the schools and do a lot of things that they're unable to do in that informal learning environment. Next slide, please. So finally, we wanted to share some of the economic benefits to the community. And Our industry data indicates that 89% of Americans believe that museums provide an important economic impact on the community. And that's a pretty compelling number. There's data in here that I didn't include, but museums are also one of the most trusted sources of information in the country right now. 76% of all leisure travelers participate in cultural or heritage activities, such as visiting museums. And the data indicates that travelers who do that spend 60% more in terms of other leisure travelers. So clearly an economic benefit to the community. And finally, we know that kidSTREAM estimates that we're going to be providing over 45 STEM-related jobs to the community when the museum is able to open up fully to the public. Next slide. So this is an overview of our timeline, and really, I would say that this is a very conservative timeline. My modus operandi has always been to underpromise and overproduce so that we do much better than what is projected. But nonetheless, this gives us some room to operate. And as you can see, the grand opening is projected to be sometime in early January or sooner if at all possible. So that is, next slide, that's really the end of my presentation, and just very thankful to you all for your vision to believe in a children's museum for the children of our community.
Just not to get people's hopes up, that's January of 23, not next January.
Thank you. Yes, that is correct. Yes, thank you, Mayor Craven.
Okay, are there any questions? I'm not going to take comments from council members yet because we have members of the public who'd like to speak to us, but do you have questions?
Mayor, you're muted.
Was I muted when I asked for questions?
No, you weren't.
Thank you. Okay, I can now see council members. Is there anyone who has a question? Okay, I'm going to go and ask for members of the public who would like to speak to us. I see two hands. Jeffrey Lambert. You have.
Hi, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My name is Jeffrey Lambert. Excuse me? Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm not sure why the speaker's time is not set at 3 minutes. Okay, you'll have 3 minutes. When you have 2 minutes, a yellow light will show. And then when the red light shows at the end of the 3rd minute, we ask you to stop, and I will enforce the 3-minute time limit. So Jeffrey Lambert.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. I will not take 3 minutes of your time. My name is Jeffrey Lambert. I happen to be the Chief Operating Officer of the Ventura County Community Foundation. And I want to just say a couple words in support of kidSTREAM and the recommendation before the council tonight. One is just to reiterate the challenge of fundraising in the last couple of years. Our community has been incredibly generous in response to the many disasters we have faced, but it's clearly distracted our other nonprofits from the kind of fundraising that they've been successful prior to these last couple of years of disasters. So I wanted to reiterate the importance of understanding that point and to give kidSTREAM the time it takes to get to where they need to be to their desired outcome. I want to also reiterate the great presentation from Michael and Christy. They told the story better than I could about how important this museum is for our community, for the city of Camarillo and the greater Ventura County community, based on the education and it's for students and the support for their growth, also for the economic impact of the surrounding area, and general health of the community to have an additional museum in Ventura County. And with that, I would ask the City Council to approve the recommendation before you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Hillary McLaughlin when the clock has been reset.
Hello, Madam
Wait
Mayor.
a minute, we have to reset the clock. There you go.
Oh, great. And can I confirm that you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, I don't think I will use the full 3 minutes either, but I do want to take the opportunity to thank the City Council for all of the support of kidSTREAM. And really, from what I can hear from this, sharing in this vision of building this space where our kids in surrounding communities can participate to learn and explore, play, and discover. I am a lifelong resident. Both my husband and I have grown up in Camarillo. Now we are raising 2 children and are so proud to have Camarillo be our home. I've grown my career locally at Amgen for the past 15 years. And now I am privileged to sit on the kidSTREAM board of directors with Christy and Michael. So on behalf of the entire board, I want to share that we are motivated, we are excited, and we are so ready to continue working hand in hand with the city to really invest in the next generation of leaders and continue to make Camarillo the best community for our families, our children. This is a community I want to continue investing in. It's my home, and I can only hope one day that my children call Camarillo their home as well as they grow their families. And I think that kidSTREAM is going to be one of these pillars of our community. So thank you so much for listening to the recommendation today. And I do hope that there is support for us to move forward together. Thank you.
Thank you. When the clock has been reset now, the next speaker is Jessica Lavariaga Monforti.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be able to have the opportunity to speak before you this evening. My name is Jessica Lavariega Monforti, and I am the Vice President of kidSTREAM, and also I am the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at California Lutheran University. And that is a strategic move on my part to help build community partnerships in ways that I think will benefit our community. I am such a supporter of kidSTREAM, and I really want to talk just for a moment about why that is the case. I have spent 20 years of my career doing extensive research on the impact of educational practices and career development for women and people of color and young people. And what I have learned over time is that a lot of our intervention efforts to get students interested in STEM careers happens far too late in their life. Oftentimes those interventions take place in high school, and the truth of the matter is if we haven't gotten to them by 5th grade or 6th grade, we have missed our opportunity. And so what kidSTREAM offers and the public benefit of having something like kidSTREAM in this community is the ability to build together STEM and art and inspire our children early on to have an interest in STEM careers, to pique their curiosity through play, and to give them a safe environment to do that with other children. We are able, I think, in this museum to create such a unique experience for students, but also for families. And one of the things that is really important to me and close to my heart is that this will be a bilingual space so that parents and grandparents who speak Spanish, for example, can read instructions on how to play and how to use equipment with English-speaking children. And what a wonderful way to honor the cultural heritage of our region, but also what an important way to signal how important it is to learn from our elders as well. And so I'm really hoping that this evening we will get some support for kidSTREAM moving forward in this process, and appreciate the time that you've allowed me to speak this evening.
Thank you. The clock has been reset. The next speaker is Wendy Acevedo Solis.
Hi, excuse me. Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak this evening. I'm honored to be able to provide you with my insight. My name is Wendy Acevedo Solis, and I have started working with kidSTREAM about 2 years ago. I was at a local Camarillo family's home at a birthday party, as many of us do with our children. I have two young girls that go to school over at Cape Charter here in the Camarillo community, and I had the pleasure of meeting an existing board member at that time, and she shared with me this project that Christy helped found, and I was just fell in love with the idea. Since I was a child, I've been fascinated with museums. I have gone on to share this passion with my children ever since they were infants. We've gone through all of the children's museums up and down the coast, and it's incredible, absolutely incredible to see the desire and to explore through their eyes. It's one thing to remember going to those wonderful museums as children with my parents and with school, but to see it through your own children is just an incredible experience. And when I heard about what Christy and the kidSTREAM board was trying to do with kidSTREAM, I wanted to help. I wanted to be a part of that. And so at the time, I was starting to be a part of a donations committee for the company that I work for, which is a local employee, Yardi Systems, which is a software developing company, and thought, what a great partnership to partner, STEM and what kidSTREAM is doing with our philosophy at Yardi. And we were able to, for the last 2 years, donate significantly to kidSTREAM and provide a nice gift in helping push forward the idea of kidSTREAM. I'm proud and humbled to work for this company, and that they're able to support this vision that kidSTREAM has as well, that they believe in kidSTREAM, that there is the desire to push this forward as a community and work in partnership. So I just want to say, I'm humbled to speak to you. I'm humbled that you have the opportunity to provide this opportunity for Camarillo and our community. I sincerely hope that you support kidSTREAM in this process. And this is going to be a phenomenal opportunity for children within our community to not have to leave our area, to have something locally that they can come to, explore, and hopefully help them with finding and an interest in STEM before they get to that high
Thank
school.
you very much for your comments. This is not the first time this has come before us. Obviously, it's the second amendment. So the council is very, very familiar with this development project. And tonight we're looking at the second amendment that would make provisions to donate the land under certain circumstances. The land could come back to us if the project isn't moved forward. So I can open it up for council discussion or for a motion.
Your Honor,
Mr. Kildee.
I don't really have a discussion. I think everything has been said, but I'm ready to make the motion.
Fine.
I'd like to make a motion then that we authorize the city manager to execute the second amendment to the term sheet for the former library.
I'll second.
The motion and a second. Mr. Tremblay, did you have a comment?
No, I had comments, but I think we're at a motion, and I think I know where we're going to go. So I'm going to withhold those for now, but they were very supportive.
I think all of us have extremely supportive comments that go right along with the ones we've made every time we've talked about kidSTREAM. So could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Kildee?
Yes.
Councilmember Santangelo?
Very much yes.
Councilmember Tremblay?
Enthusiastic, yes.
Vice Mayor Mulchay?
Yes, yes.
Mayor Craven?
I won't give my children's museum speech tonight, yes.
That motion carries unanimously.
Okay, we still have another item under city manager, which was consent E, and we have new business that we will put over until after the public hearing tonight. And with this, we will recess for a short break and come back at 7 o'clock for public comments and a public hearing.